Okay, so this is how you do lino printing. The first thing you need to do is draw out your outline. You need to make this as clear as possible because when you're using your stencil, you need to make sure that you're following these lines so you can get as close to your actual first design as possible. So here I am just drawing it out as carefully as I can. I'm going to show you it sped up. There you go. I'm drawing all the lines on the sides that I need to carve out. And I've put some clouds at the top. That one's going to be a bit tricky because it's got lots of swells in it, but I will show you how to do that. And there you go. Okay, so it's time to cut the lino, and this is where it can get a bit tricky. This is your lino cutter. It is quite sharp, so you need to be very careful when you are using it. It actually comes with lots of different attachments. Some are wider, some are narrower, some are shaped like a V, and these are all shaped differently, so you can create different shapes in your lino. So here I am just showing you some of them, and I'm going to pick one to use to put into the holder. And there's a curved part of the blade on the opposite side of the blade that you slot into the top of the holder. You then screw that holder and make sure it's screwed on tightly. You don't want it to bend. So here I am just checking one more time. It's not moving, so I know it's going to be safe to use. Right, so here I'm actually testing the edge because I don't want to press too far down. I don't want to dig too deep. And that's why I'm starting really gently, really slowly. There is no need to rush this. You need to take your time and be very careful because remember, it is a blade. My fingers are far away from that blade as possible and I'm keeping a close eye on it. Now, this line was a little bit wobbly, so I went over it. I tried to neaten it up. Again, I'm going very slowly. I know where my hands are. I'm trying my best to keep them away from the blade. I am slowly getting closer, so I'm being very careful. As you can see, I've now got a much neater line. Okay, so I've sped this part up for you. And I will show you some of the curved details in a moment. It's just that it did take me a while. So here I am doing those little bits, doing all those edges. There you go. Okay, I've stopped it here so I can show you how I'm slicing away the material. I'm slicing away the lino. My hands are not on the opposite side. You can even go in and neaten up those tiny little parts. It also really helped me to spin the piece of lino around because then I can get to all the different sides. There you go. So you can see I've turned it around there, spun it around again. And I could just keep doing that because it really helps me get to all the edges while still trying to keep my fingers away from the blade. Right, so now I'm onto the clouds and you will see there's a lot of spinning here. I'm turning this piece of lino quite a bit because it really helps me get some control over where the blade is going. But yeah, I'm still being aware of where the blade is and not moving too fast because if my hand slips, it may cut me. So I'm making sure I'm paying close attention to what I'm doing I'm keeping my fingers away at all times. And you can see I'm turning my hand, turning the blade, turning the piece of lino. If you want to get that line nice and smooth, it's really important to do that. Okay, so then right at the end, I decided I'm going to go in with some finer details. I want to make sure I'm getting as much detail in as possible because when we use the polystyrene, it didn't give us an opportunity to create much detail. Just remember, you don't want to dig too far in. You're going to get holes like that piece of lino. I'm going in really light-handed, creating tiny little lines that I know will pick up quite well. And this should just give my final design a bit more to it when it comes to printing. Right, for me, this was the most exciting part. It's important you don't use too much ink for this. So as you can see, I just took a little blob and I'm carefully coating my roller in it. I don't need to drench my roller in ink. A really thin layer will do. You don't want to stick it all in that ink. Okay, as you can see, my layers are quite thin, but I prefer that because I know I can build it up. You don't want to stick too much ink on it because it's going to go into your gaps, and those gaps you do not want ink to fill inside. Okay, get your print. Place it very carefully. Slowly, get a dry roller. Press as hard as you can with that roller, both directions. You want to make sure all the edges are pressed down before you lift up your print. Ooh, and there you go. There is your final design. And it's really nice when it all comes together. So remember, just take your time, keep your hands away from the blade, and good luck.